God loves each one of us, and each one of us is called to love God in return. God is generous to each one of us, and each one of us is called to be generous to God in return. How shall we be generous to God? In the gospel, we heard the story of the poor widow who donated 2 small coins worth a few cents, and Jesus said it was all she had. It was her entire livelihood. She gave it directly to God by depositing it in the temple treasury. I'd like to share another story. The Catholic Church has a lot of saints it celebrates, and every year on November 11th remembers St. Martin of Tours, who lived in the 4th century, and he came from a military family. One winter, on a cold morning, as he approached the city gates of a town in northern France, he met a scantily clad beggar who was receiving little attention from passers-by, but Martin didn't have anything with him. So when he came up to the beggar, he dismounted his horse, drew his sword, cut his military cloak in half, and gave 1/2 to the beggar. That night, Jesus appeared to him in a dream wearing that cloak, saying, "Martin has covered me with this garment." As it turns out, Martin also gave directly to God through aiding those in need. And it helps to confirm the gospel message of Jesus saying, "I was naked and you clothed me. And whenever you do this to one of the least of my brethren, you've done it to me." Mary, Mother of the Church, God loves us, and we do love God in return. God has been generous to us, and we have been generous to God in return. The story of the widow's mite reminds us it is good to give directly to God through parish contributions, diocesan appeal, building our future together pledges. But the story of St. Martin of Tours reminds us it is also good to give directly to God by helping those in need, such as the warming center, local flood relief, food baskets, and next week the angel tree, which will support families for Christmas. We have been generous as a parish family, and this is the result of individual decisions. Over 100 years ago, the United States decided to enter a war that was going to save democracies and thereby put an end to all wars. Of course, we know that what was called the Great War had to change the name because 20 years later there was another war. And so the Great War became World War I. The generosity of our nation that knew the blessing of democracy is outstanding. Over 117,000 casualties, over 204 wounded. Yet this national commitment was made of many individual decisions. First at home, then in the trenches. And undoubtedly some served full-spirited for the cause. Others, they just served mightily for the comrade next to them. And undoubtedly some served begrudgingly and wanted out. On this 100th anniversary of the end of the Great War, Armistice Day, now called Veterans Day, may we remind ourselves of the generosity of all veterans who gave years of their lives and now carry residual effects with them today. And may we remind ourselves also of the generosity of those who gave their lives and therefore never received the title veteran. May we never glamorize war or rush to enter one. Rather, let us focus on our core beliefs that motivate us to do what must be done in each moment of our lives, which is this: God loves each one of us, and each one of us is called to love God in return. God is generous to each one of us, and each one of us is called to be generous to God in return.